Welcome back to the Bits of Bri podcast. I'm Brianna Kay here with my co-host Ashlei Aaron, looking gorgeous.
Thank you. You too. I'm loving your hair color more
Thank
and more. I
you.
feel like as it really starts to set in, I really love it. It's so golden and beautiful. I love
Oh,
it.
thank you. I want a makeup tutorial. I think we all want a makeup tutorial from you.
Yes, I got you.
Give the people what they want, Ashley.
Especially for green eyes. I'll give you a separate tutorial for green eyes.
Ooh, yes, please. I need a
Yes.
green-eyed one for
hmm
sure.
I feel like we need to talk about our weekend. I have so much to tell you.
I know you got to fill me in. We need to
Yes.
catch up.
Do you notice how you kept calling me and texting me and I was being very like, okay, I gotta go. Okay, I gotta go. Because I have
Mhm.
a surprise and I've been dying to tell you, but I
Oh
didn't
boy.
want, if we were on the phone too long, for it to give away. So I feel like I should just, well, let me give you a little backstory first.
Okay.
Do you remember how I told you that my mom had to put her dog Belle down? I know,
Yeah, I'm
I'm so
sorry.
sad. Which I know
Yeah.
you can relate to because you just went through that not too long ago. Unexpectedly, Belle had heart problems. She was having difficulty breathing, and mom talked to the vet, and that's what the vet ultimately decided. So it was really sad, but she did the right thing so that she wasn't suffering. And so I called her to see how she's doing because she's home right now. She was packing and she was getting ready for like a work trip. She was packing up the Michigan house. Long story short, I just wanted to see how she is, make sure she wasn't too sad. And she was like, you could tell she'd been crying all day. She's like, I just
Aw.
picked up Belle's ashes and I'm just so sad. I'm like, oh, mom, I'm so sorry. And then she sends me a picture of these two dogs. I was like, what is this, mom? And she's like, look at these babies. So her first baby was a Shih Tzu. I never know
Okay.
how to say that properly, but you guys know what I'm saying. And she loved him. And he was the first one she had to put down. This picture she sent me, it was a brother and sister, Shih Tzus, and they were so cute. And I'm like, Mom, do you want to go look? And she's like, she stopped answering my text messages. You could tell she wanted to, but she wasn't ready yet, right? Because she just put Belle down.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Mom, let me call and see if they're still available. They were still available. We didn't need an appointment, but they were closing in an hour. And I'm like,
Okay.
Mom, let's just go look. You never know. You might meet a dog and just don't connect. Like, you have to connect, you have to all of that, right? Well, we
Okay.
go and they were brother and sister. I don't know if they
Oh.
were dumped or what, but they were found as strays. And there was three of
Mhm.
them. The oldest was, or the one puppy was able to just be adopted immediately. The brother and sister, she can't function without him. So they
Oh.
really wanted them adopted together. And
Okay.
so, I have a brother and sister from the same mother.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. I know some people say it's a bad idea, but my dogs are wonderful. We have no issues. So we go and we look. Brie, why do we fall in love? We fell,
Wait.
hang on. Got both
Oh.
of them. But I can only pick up one at a time because they're kind of big. But look how cute he is.
Stop.
He's so crusty. He needs a bath. So I'm going to give him a
Hi.
bath. But this one is the boy, and he's so sweet. He's so humble.
Oh. Hi. Stop.
He's still
So
getting
wait,
used
you
to
got
people.
2 new dogs?
We got two dogs. And I have them this week because mom's on a business trip. So I told her, I'm like, if you get them, I'll watch them.
Oh, okay, wait, so they're not yours, they're your
They're not
mom's.
mine. They're moms.
Okay.
Yep, they're moms. They will be going to Florida. They're going to be little Floridians.
Oh my gosh, hi.
They
So
are
wait,
like
they're a Shih Tzu what mix?
just a Shih Tzu. That's
It's a
it.
Shih Tzu.
Yeah,
Aw.
I mean, they might be mixed with something else because I don't know if the Humane Society does like testing for all of
Oh.
that, but that's what they said that they are. And he actually is being so quiet right now. All he does is bark. And I have huskies. So for me to say he's vocal, this dog is vocal.
I actually feel like I heard some kind of a noise when we were but I just figured
Yes.
it was your other dogs because I already knew
Yes.
you had dogs. I might have heard. Oh, I just heard was that a little bark?
No, she's over there. She's more
Okay.
quiet. Him though, he's so, oh my gosh. I had to close all the blinds because my whole house is like windows, kind of like yours.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anytime anyone goes by or do anything, but because they're rescues, I'm trying to like let them get used to it. My dogs are actually crated right now because I don't want them to be scared and intimidated. But you got to
Aw.
see the other one. Hang on. So this one she wants to name Charlie. But I think he should be
Charlie.
Travis Barker because he does not stop barking.
That's a cute Travis Barker.
Right?
That's a cute dog
Travis
name. Yeah.
Barker. But she likes
Yeah.
Charlie and it's her baby. But she's already
Oh,
bonded with him.
okay.
He's super sweet and he just loves to cuddle. But let me show you her. She's so cute. But look it, doesn't he remind you of Cookie, how Cookie's like brown and cream?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah.
I'll grab the other one.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm loving this.
This one is has a little bit of food aggression, so I wanted to bring her bone with
Oh,
us. But look at how cute.
stop.
No, they need to
He's
be
like a
groomed so
little
bad.
teddy.
That's what the girl said when they woke up this morning. They came downstairs because they hadn't met them yet.
Yeah,
Like, Mom, they look like real life teddy bears.
they do. Okay, so what's her name gonna be?
She doesn't have a name yet. I
Okay.
like Whimsy Lou, but I don't know what my mom likes. So we'll have to
I
see.
love how you've already come up with things. You're like, they're my mom's dogs, but here's my names. Travis Barker and
Yeah.
Whimsy
And
Lou.
Whimsy Lou. And if she was mine, like if she was staying in Michigan where it's nice and cold, I would
Yeah.
totally grow her hair out and give her like a little ponytail. Like, the Shih Tzus with like the ponytail with the big
Yeah.
pink bow and name her Whimsy. She's so
Oh,
cute. But
they're
she just,
both so cute.
right?
Oh,
And the girls are in heaven.
I'm sure they are. My kids would be so happy. Are you trying to soften my heart to get a puppy?
Well, no, because you're so busy. You're so busy. Like my mom works from home. Could you imagine your baby? You have to put your baby down. You have no friends in a new area, and she's going to just be
Mm,
thinking about her baby all the time. Because
yeah.
Belle was literally like so tiny. She was like a cell phone. You could just hold her 24/7.
Yeah. So wait, is
Yeah.
she gonna fly with those dogs down or drive?
Yes, listen to how extra my mom is. So I just
Okay.
learned, wait, let me go put her back because she
Okay.
just wants her bone, but she won't eat it while I'm holding her because she has food aggression. So she wants to be alone. So I didn't know this, but I don't know if it's a rule they just changed recently. But did you know that dogs can no longer be carried in like the pit of the airplane? Do you know how you used to be able
Oh,
to do that? They don't do that now. They say it's too hot, it's unsafe. So my mom had to, we have a family friend who is available to go because with my panic attacks, I'm not flying anywhere right now.
okay.
So a family friend agreed to fly down there. She had to buy her a flight because you can't just buy your dog a seat. It has to be an actual human.
Okay.
So these dogs have cost a fortune, a
Oh man.
fortune between rescuing them and their medication and the flight to get them to Florida. But I feel like it's worth it.
Oh, they're
Isn't
so
that
cute
cute?
though. Aw.
Do
Yeah.
you miss? I mean, don't you feel like because you have a cat, it kind of helps a little bit? Like you don't feel like you have to have a dog?
I think it helped with maybe a little bit of the empty house feeling because I still have her skittering around and still have her to feed every morning. But I'm definitely a dog girl over a cat. Like, I love her, but I treat her like a dog, so she hates me because she's like, "Leave me alone. Why are you picking up? Why do you wanna pet me so much? Don't
Okay.
bother me."
So she's
And
a true cat.
she is a true cat, but I
Okay.
I like, I miss my dog because that's what I would do. It's like I would come home, have that little tail wagging, excited to see me, scoop
Mhm.
her up, pet her, hold her, sleep with her, all the things, so
Okay,
it
maybe
is.
you do need one then. Because these are just little babies. I mean, they're just a year old, and you can just tell they are so sweet and all they want to do is cuddle. That's it.
Aw, I
Like, I
miss
feel like I'm gonna get hardly anything done this week. Like, when I film, they're gonna have to be in the video because you can just tell they follow you everywhere. Remember when your babies were little and they would follow you all throughout the house?
I mean, that's literally what I miss about editing my videos is that I'd always see Coley,
Mhm.
like, following me around like a little shadow in all the
So
videos,
sweet.
and Kai Lewis sometimes does, but just not the same as Coley.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I
Mhm.
was so vague on the phone because I didn't want you to hear the dogs barking, which I was afraid you were going to be able to identify like a big dog's bark versus the little puppies, because they're so high pitched. But it's been a fun weekend. Now I don't want to give them back though. Like they have to go
Oh,
home with my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I don't think these dogs are a good fit for you. I feel like they should stay in Michigan and we should just find you a new dog. And she hasn't gotten off
aw.
of her flight yet, but I'm sure she's gonna be like, Ashley, you better give me my dogs back. I love them.
No. Aw, well, they're gonna have so much fun with you this week.
But tell me about your weekend. What did you do?
Let me see. Sunday was a really busy day because Presley had a soccer game. Landon had a basketball game on Saturday too. There's just a lot of kids' sports stuff. The weather finally got a little bit nicer, so I went and I got a new golf driver and went to the driving
Ooh,
range, and
that's so fun.
yeah, and I went and watched the sunset on the beach and just try to get
Love it.
outside and enjoy the weather now that it's seemingly getting nicer. It's still supposed to, I guess, to rain the rest of this week here,
Okay.
but we at least had a nice 2 days worth of sunshine, so we'll take it.
Yeah, it was beautiful here too. I think Friday, was it Friday or Saturday where it went from like one day it was 80 and the next it was 50? It was so cold. Did you guys have that too?
Yeah, that's Cleveland. The weather's just always bipolar here. It's
Yes.
one day it's sunny, the next day it's
Yep.
snowing. So,
Freezing. Yeah,
yeah.
you guys get all that lake effect snow though, so that's probably has a lot to do with it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah. So it was a good weekend.
Good weekend.
It was a good
Yeah.
weekend.
So for today's episode, Ashley and I thought we could tell you some ghost stories. They're not the typical kind of ghost stories you might be thinking. We're not talking about the supernatural. We're talking about how for dating in 2025, ghosting is the new breakup. It's the new standard for how people seem to be breaking up these days. And I've got quite the ghost story to tell. But Ashley, I think when we were talking about this, like the reason why we thought would be good is because this was brought up in your life recently too, people
Mhm.
sharing their ghost stories.
They were, and it was wild, both men and women, because obviously I'm not dating in this new era, and it is crazy how this is so common. Probably the craziest thing, I was talking to my sister and some of her
Okay.
friends. I gotta tell you this one story because it kind of reminded me of you. Do you remember how you went on a date to Cedar Point?
Yeah.
Okay. One of my sister's friends was telling me that she started dating this guy. He had 5 kids. She was kind
Okay.
of hesitant because that's a lot of kids. She only has 2, and his baby mama, they've been together since 8th grade. So it's a really long time. And she's like,
Okay.
is he really gonna be over her? Or is he like gonna still be into her? 5 kids, they've spent their whole life together. She was just hesitant, right? So he really kept pursuing her and he wanted to take her to Cedar Point. She was all for it because she's like, I love roller coasters. Like, I'm obsessed. So she said, absolutely yes. Brought some of her friends with her, which he was totally okay with. It was kind of like a group thing. And she said that they were talking. And the first thing he did that she realized that this was just not going to work out is he was talking about like one of his favorite foods or something. And he said salmon. Salmon? Like he pronounced the
You
L.
said it the way it's spelled.
Yes. Then later, her friend asked her, like, what time is it? And she's like, a quarter after 2. He goes, oh my gosh, it's 2:25. She's like, "You mean 2:15?" He's like, "No, 2:25." Again, she looked at her friend and that was it. She was done. She never texted him. She never called him back. She goes, "What am I supposed to do with that?" Like he pronounces the L in salmon and he doesn't even know what quarter after 2 is. And
So
I
she was
was
just like, "I'm done. No more communication. Done.
blocked him,
No
never spoke to him
explanation."
again.
Never spoke to him.
Never spoke to him. She ghosted him. She ghosted him because he gave her the ick twice on one date. And I didn't blame her because when we were all having these conversations, one of my sister's guy friends, he jumped in and he's like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't say anything. Like, why wouldn't you just have a conversation with him, correct him on a quarter after 2, and then tell him to stop pronouncing the L in salmon? And she's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not my responsibility. At our age, he should know both of those things. Like, that's his job. And I said, I
I
also
I
don't.
wanna hear what other people think in the comments, like, if somebody said those 2 things, would you ghost him or would you stay? Would you stay or would you ghost?
I'd ghost him.
You'd ghost him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if he gave me the ick, yeah. He
See,
also
I think there's context to that story though, because if that was the very first time they were ever hanging out,
Mhm.
I actually think it's fine because, like, I think there's appropriate levels of ghosting or just backing out of something. If it's the first time hanging out, that's what a first date is. It's you're figuring out, do we like each other? He obviously said some things that turned her off. She doesn't like him. Therefore, end it. You're not going to waste each other's time. There's no
Yeah.
need for more conversations. I think there's a when you leave, just a very quick like, "Had a good time. This isn't for me though. Wish you the best." Like, like I think like
You're
say that,
so good
and
at
then
that.
from that point on, goodbye.
So you're saying there's no need to ghost. You're not a fan of ghosting.
I no, I'm not a fan of. I think ghosting is very immature, unless
Okay.
I think where I feel like it's appropriate. If somebody violates you, absolutely, like
Oh,
cut them
yeah.
off.
That
But
was
to me,
the
I don't even
general
consider
consensus.
that ghosting. I consider that like safety precaution, setting a boundary.
Yes.
But no, I think ghosting is immature.
Yeah. No, that's what a lot of people said. They were like, if the person is disrespectful, crazy, dangerous, that's when it's okay to ghost. That's what the men said, right? The
Well,
women,
and I can't sit here and be like, because I think sometimes, let's say on a dating app, right? If you're
mhm.
messaging somebody and it just gets so dry, or like clearly they're not putting any energy or effort into the conversation continuing, or if they say something, again, this is sort of like if it gets to be a sexually perverted conversation,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think you owe anyone an explanation. You can be like, "Okay, like this went too
And
far, not for me." You can end the conversation. So if that's considered ghosting,
mhm.
I guess that ghosting would be appropriate. I think what's inappropriate is if you've had multiple touch points with the person, dates, phone calls, text, the conversation seems to be flowing, and with no reason you up and leave, that's what's immature.
Yeah. Yeah. No reason. So you're saying if you have a good reason, then it's okay. But if there was like this, you felt like they could have just said, not for me. And then, but thank you anyways for your time. And that is it. Just a simple
Mhm.
one sentence. So the person knows it's officially over.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's looking for that at the end of a date. It's the, do we wanna see each other again? How did we
Mhm,
both feel about this?
mhm,
So don't lie about it, just be honest. If you don't wanna see that person again, you can say, "Thanks, had a good time, but I don't think this is gonna work for me any longer, and I really wish you the best. I hope you find your person." Because
mhm.
that's all what we're doing in dating, right? We're all
Yeah.
out there trying to figure out, could this be my person? And if you know it's not, like, tell them, "I hope you find your person." I think it's a very nice way to say goodbye.
That makes sense though, because the frequency in which people date and how long they date, I feel like if you are able to articulate that quickly, that this is not for you, and that you're
Yeah.
just like, that would make sense. See, I feel like I'm from the old school way of dating where it's like you actually like pursued a woman, dated, and then I didn't feel like having that conversation. So I just changed my number and fell off the face of the earth. I feel like blocking was just easier. Like, I don't know. I'm not about to sit here and tell you about yourself because you'll find your person. There will be somebody out there who likes that. It's just not me. But I could see in the way that people date nowadays, it's probably good karma too to not ghost and to just have that conversation. Because then if it happens to you, you're going to feel really bad. And it's karma because you did it to how many people? You know
There
what I
you
mean?
go. Yeah, you want good karma out there for
You do want
dating.
good karma.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because one of the other guys in her friend group that was talking to me, he said he had met a girl in 2020 during COVID. And
Mhm.
he said that she was a travel nurse and she seemed incredible. When he met her, she was so trashy and just not what he was expecting at all. And definitely a stage 5 clinger. Those are his exact words. And he knew he had to get rid of her, but he didn't know what to say. Like she just wasn't getting it. So he just ghosted her. He stopped responding to her calls. He didn't change his number or anything, but she called and she texted and he just
Did he
didn't
block her?
nope, nothing. But he
Nothing.
left his red on. So as he's reading the text messages that she's sending, she's getting the notification that it was red and he just didn't
So she
respond.
knew he
He
saw
knew.
them and
Hmm.
wasn't responding.
Yeah. And I asked him, I said, okay, so you ghosted her. How long did it take her to realize that she was being ghosted? He said 2 weeks. So I can see why a conversation is so much better. Because could you imagine playing those mind games for 2 weeks? I mean, I feel like she probably should have known a little bit faster, but yeah, he said it took a full 2 weeks. Isn't that wild?
And she just kept texting him with no
And
response, even
calling.
though she could see it was red.
Yeah. Don't you feel like she should have known?
Well, that's where I just would say to people out there, like when you notice that energy shift or you notice that somebody isn't responding, that's where you just gotta pull back.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't know, have you experienced anything like that, like in any ghosting that you said you don't like to ghost. So have you
Well,
experienced anything
okay,
like
so that's
that?
what I'm saying is I personally like, I think it depends what you consider it, but no, if I was going out with somebody a lot, I would never just completely end communication or leave them thinking that, "Okay, we're gonna, go out again," without saying, "Hey, actually, like, I don't think this is working for me anymore. Wish you the best," sort of a thing.
Okay.
No, I think it's different if you end the night and you're both like, "Okay, like, this was fun," but then you don't make any additional plans. Like, I don't consider that ghosting either. Like, again, I feel like ghosting is when you make it seem like everything's fine and dandy, set up future plans, and then fail to communicate anymore.
Bree, you're making me realize how toxic my relationships were before my husband because there was never a conversation. Like I would just block them and fall off the face of the earth. I mean, this was before social media. There was no way for them to see like what I was doing. Where now you know how you could check someone's Snapchat, their TikTok, you can check so many things to see like, okay, they're alive. They're just clearly ignoring me. I never broke up with someone in like a civilized way, like sitting down and having a conversation, I would just block them and disappear. Isn't that
Really?
awful? Yes.
Really?
I don't know. I just felt like it didn't need a conversation. Like you knew what you did. What do we need to talk about?
Well, did it end in an argument?
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
For
well, okay, in
sure.
that case, the argument was the ending.
Well, not like, but couples fight, right?
Okay, I'll tell you the story, and I think
Okay, tell
maybe
me.
this is a better example of what ghosting, like, to me,
Means.
what ghosting looks like. An argument, if you're arguing, that's the end of the relationship. Like,
Okay.
you just got into the fight, clearly you're not seeing eye to eye, and then you're like, "Goodbye," and
Okay.
right? That's the
Yeah, I
end.
mean,
That's
yeah.
not ghosting to me, that's you had
Okay.
an argument and it ended.
Okay, that makes me feel better. Okay.
This is my ghosting story.
Okay, tell me.
So, I was gonna tell the story about blue eyes. Do you think I need to start from, like, the very beginning
Yes, because I
to
feel like
paint
we
the
need a
full
little bit of
picture?
context.
Okay.
Yep.
So, the summer I moved back from Hawaii, I was out with my friend, ran into a couple. They didn't know I was getting divorced, but they were asking, "Oh, are you, open to meeting anybody? What's your type?" And I said, "Brody Jenner," because physical looks wise, that's my type.
That's your type.
And the husband was like, "Well, would you go for a blue-eyed Brody Jenner?" And I was like, "Blue-eyed Brody Jenner? Okay, sure." And he
Say
starts
less.
screaming Blue Eyes' real name, which obviously I'm keeping secret for the podcast or
Of
for
course.
for privacy reasons. It's just the name for the podcast is Blue Eyes.
Mhm.
So this very handsome guy comes bopping over, bright blue eyes. And I mean, nice tattoos, in great shape, very attractive guy. And it was just too soon for me at that point because I just wasn't ready for anything serious. But he'd asked me to an Indians game. And, I was just kind of like, it's too soon. Like,
Okay.
well, flash forward almost 2 years, a little over 2 years later, actually.
Okay.
I am on one of the dating apps and I see that he liked me. So I match with him and his message to me was, "Hey, I think we've met before. Aren't you friends with the couple that introduced
Mhm.
me to him?" And so I was like, "Oh yeah, we have met before. Like hope you're doing well." And I really was not using the app very much at that point. So I said, "Here's my number, if you ever wanna call or text me."
Yes.
So, don't hear from him. So just assumed like, okay, like, I did turn him down in the past sort of thing, whatever.
Right.
So, I'm getting a massage like 3 months later, and I'm talking to the girl who's giving me a massage, which is so rare. This never happens. I'm the type of person when I go in for my massage, I like it quiet. I don't want you to talk to me. I just want to relax and zen
Mhm.
out. But
Yep.
she's so sweet and bubbly, and she's telling me some boy problems. She's probably
Oh,
20. And
okay.
so I'm helping her, through them. And she's like, "You're so good with the advice." And I was like, "Well, take it with a grain of salt." But I'm like, I've had some life experience. I'm divorced. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, are you single?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Well, what are you looking for?" And I gave her a little explanation. She's like, "I know someone." I was like, "Oh, do you?" And she's like, "Yeah, like he is great. He's a couple years older than you, and he has the most beautiful blue eyes." And I go, "Well, what's
Hmm.
his name?" Says Blue Eyes his name, and I was like, "I think I know who you're talking about. I met him a couple of years ago. He does have really nice blue eyes." And we did match on a dating app a couple months ago, and I gave him my number, and I never heard from him. So I'm just assuming, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, would you mind the next time I give him a massage, can I mention you?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Why not?" So my massage was on a Saturday.
Mhm.
On Monday, I get a text message from Blue Eyes.
Okay.
So I was like, "Okay, she must have just reached out to him." And he was like, "Hey, better late than never. I was wondering if I could take you out sometime." And I was like, "Yeah, it was so funny. You came up in the most random conversation the other day." And he's like, "I did. How?" And I was like, "When I was getting a massage." Thinking he was going to be like, "Oh, yeah, she reached out to me." And he's like,
Right.
"I came up while you were getting a massage? What? Like, what are you talking about?" So we made plans, and I was kinda like, "Okay, well, I guess I'll tell you the story, when we go out on Friday." So we go out, and told him the story, and he's like, "No, she didn't tell me." And so in my head, I'm like, "This is wild that on Saturday, I randomly talked about him, and then 2 days later, he asked me out on a date
Yeah, how wild is that?
by chance." It's like, okay, the universe was really listening or something,
Yeah.
right?
Putting him in your path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the date is great. We have so much fun. To me, like there was a lot we had in common. We were in very similar phases of life with our children and like business and just kind of where we were at with our health, wellness. There was a lot in common.
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I like him after the first date. I was like, I hope, we hang out again when he's
I feel like
dropping
you
me
guys
off.
were very aligned.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked him. Yeah.
I
I
did too. I really liked him.
yeah.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
And when he dropped me off, asked me out for a second time. So we made those plans. We had so much fun. We went to this putt-putt bar, like it's an indoor putt-putt course. So much fun. We made a little bet while we were playing putt-putt that whoever lost was going to have to plan the third date. And in high school, I was much better, but I'm a decent golfer. So I was like,
Okay.
maybe I'll win. I lost by 1 stroke. So I ended up having to plan our third date,
Okay.
which I planned it at this wellness center, which it's so great. If you live by me, check out Stella Luna. They have everything from saunas to salt baths to sound baths. There's so many amazing things you can go do there. Just it's great. It's like the best wellness spa I've ever been to. But anyways, um planned a date there. We did the sauna, we did a sound bath, and then we did like the salts, the like gravity. Why am I blanking on what that's called? So basically, it was such a good day. I felt like I was on The Bachelorette because we're in the sauna together. I've got my bikini on
Mhm.
and we're talking. And then we go into the sound bath where like you're not talking, you're just like laying down and relaxing and listening to the bowls and the gongs. And it's like so peaceful, and afterwards, you kind of talk about the things that like you felt during it. So it kind of helps you almost like open up and get really vulnerable with like where you're
Okay.
at and things. And
Love
so
that.
it was so great, and then we ended in the salt chamber where it's like the 2 of us floating again with our bathing suits on, but, like,
Mhm.
floating in this salt bath where there's so much salt, you just float naturally. Like, you
Love
don't
it.
need any kind of flotation device. And, like, while we're floating, he was holding my hand. It was
So
really
sweet.
romantic, and I felt so connected, and I was, like, liking him more and more, and he loved the date, and I was so happy because I love that kinda stuff.
Mhm.
And I never know, like, is it just a me thing that I like it? But he really loved it all too. So I was like, okay, this is great. Like, we love doing so many of the same things. We went to sporting events together that we both
Yes.
liked, the golfing that we both liked, the wellness spa we both liked. He ended up asking me over his house to make me dinner, and he was a phenomenal cook. Like, it was such a good dinner.
Mhm.
I just felt like the more I talked to him, the more I hung out with him, I was liking him more and more. We went to, like, another Cavs game another night. I had gone on a trip, and when I got back from the trip, we had planned to hang out.
Okay.
And he had also an upcoming trip coming up, so I kinda knew in my head, like, "Okay, this is gonna be the last time I see him for a while,"
Yep.
because like, he was gonna be gone that whole next week, and then with my schedule with my kids, I knew I was gonna have my kids that weekend, but he'd been telling me how his schedule was gonna match up with mine when he got back from this vacation, so we were gonna finally be on, like, same weekends with each other, like, when we didn't have our kids or did have our kids.
Yep.
And he was telling me, "I'm so excited to have weekends with you," was telling me, just things he wanted to do together. So I was looking forward to it. I felt like we were progressing all in the right direction, was really, really liking him.
Yes, that's what I loved about you guys. I feel like you were so aligned, and
Yeah.
it seemed like everything from how you guys met to getting that massage, that person bringing it up to matching on a dating profile. Everything just seemed so aligned and was
Yeah.
falling into place so perfectly. You guys even having the same schedule with your children. That's why I really loved him for you.
And even on the one date that we went to where we were at the Cavs game, I met a ton of his high school friends. They all just happened to be there at
Mhm,
the game.
mhm,
And he told me on our next date how he's like, "Everybody loved you. Like, you're so personable. They all said to me, you better not let that one get away."
yep,
Like, it really seemed like not only was he excited about where it was going, but that, after
his
getting to know his
friends.
friends, all that kind of stuff,
Yes,
everything was going really well.
yes.
So, anyways, I get back from this trip. We're supposed to hang out. And I know it's like the one time I'm really going to be seeing him kind of over that month because things were just progressing really, to me, at like a healthy rate. We'd see each other, once a week,
Yeah,
maybe twice a week, kind of a thing, but
yep.
usually once a week. Get back from the trip. And I should have known right there, but I feel like I did. My intuition told me. He's like, "I hope you don't hate me, but I think I have to cancel tonight."
Mhm,
And I was like, "Oh, no, like, that's disappointing." And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, I just know I'm not gonna see you for kind of a long time because, like, you have this trip coming up, and then we have, like, a weekend where we won't be seeing each other until, like, we are on the same schedule where, like, our weekends match up." And he's like, "Well, can't I see you, on this night, like, when you don't have your kids and I don't have mine?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I guess, like, we can do that when you get back." And we end up getting off of the phone, and he texts me and is like, "Hey, I actually really wanna see you. So is it okay if I come pick you up and, like, we can go for a walk and grab dinner? I just can't be out, like, super late." And I was like,
mhm,
"Okay, that's great." And I felt so much better because I felt like he heard me,
mhm.
that I was, like,
Yeah,
disappointed because I wanted to see
yes.
him,
Yep,
and he was making an attempt to still, like, make it all better.
mhm. I loved that. I feel like he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So comes, picks me up, we go for the walk, we go for dinner, everything is good. I'm asking him about the plans for the trip, and what he told me, it sounded like so much fun. They were flying in, going to this après ski party, gonna have a bunch of time to ski, snowboard. There was gonna be a day where they were getting massages, possibly doing this mineral bath thing. Like, it just sounded like everything he was doing was gonna be so much fun.
mhm.
And the first half of it, he was going with 2 couples. So he's like, "I'm gonna be the 5th wheel." And then the second half of it, the girls were leaving and just the guys were staying and some more guys were flying in. So that part, like that half of the trip was going to be a boys' trip.
Yep.
I'm like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. You're going to have the best time. I can't wait to hear about it when you're back.
Yep.
And he said to me, why are you acting like I'm not going to talk to you while I'm on the trip?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, yeah." And he's like, "I just told you, like, I'm gonna be the 5th wheel." He's like, "Why are you acting like we're not gonna, like, text or talk to each other while I'm on the trip?"
Mhm.
So I was like, "Okay." Well, we leave the date. I get texts from him, like, we're texting back and forth the next 2 days before he leaves on the trip. The last thing we texted about, I told him a story about something that happened while I was at dinner with my kids. And, he sent me like responses to it and was like, well, I'm heading to bed early for my trip because I knew he had a really early morning flight. It was like 6 a.m.
Mhm.
And so he's like, I'm heading to bed early for my trip. Have to be up so early to get to the airport. Like, good night, kiss face, last text. Okay.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
that morning when I woke up, because I usually wake up early, it was right around the time his flight would be taking off, and I sent him like a "have a safe flight" text. It was green, so I was like, "Okay, he must have already been on the plane because it would be
Okay.
blue if it was red kind of a
Okay.
thing, so it stayed green." So, a couple days go by, I don't hear anything. Few more days go by, still don't hear anything. And at that point, I feel like I just felt it. I was like, "Okay, like, I think I knew this. I think I knew when I said to him, like, hope you have a nice trip,
You did.
that it was like I wasn't gonna hear from him while he was
Yeah.
on the trip. I feel like I knew it.
And he was acting like you were being ridiculous. He's like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be the fifth wheel. Of course I'm gonna be reaching out to you." And that was how I took it. I'm sorry. He may not have said I won't be reaching out to you, but he said, "Why wouldn't we be talking?" I took it as when he had downtime on his trip, he would text or call you.
right,
That's how I took it because
right.
how are you supposed to know his schedule, right?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like we're in a newer relationship.
Mhm.
So I took it like when I said that to him as I don't know what your schedule's going to be. I don't know what type of traveler you are, but I also know when I'm out skiing, I don't have my phone out on me. I'm not like
Exactly.
calling, texting, so sure, when you get back at night, I feel like that would be the time to probably check in or in the morning when you wake up before you go out, send a little text, to have those check-ins is if I
Yep.
was interested in somebody, that's what I would be doing.
Mhm.
But I also didn't want to make that assumption because and I think I just knew. I think I just knew that I wasn't going to be hearing from him.
Yeah.
And so then to be told, "No, like, you're being crazy. Why are you acting like you're not gonna hear from me?" And then I don't hear from him.
Which was a wild response. Like, he literally was acting like you were being crazy for saying that, and then that's exactly what he did.
Yeah. So I was supposed to see him, like, the day after he was getting back. Still heard nothing.
Mhm.
There was no, "Hey, I got back. Here's what we can do now that
Nothing.
I'm back." Nothing.
Wait, didn't you guys have plans for when he got back? You were supposed
Yeah,
to
we
see
had
him a
plans, like, the
specific
day after
day?
he got back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you heard nothing. He came
Heard
home,
nothing. Came home, heard
radio silence.
nothing. And so I reached out just the day after we had plans, which I'll be honest with you, I ordinarily wouldn't do this. I would have just let it go because I'm like, he clearly lied,
Mhm.
lied to me
Mhm.
that he was going to be talking to me while he was gone and didn't.
Didn't.
But then it's also just like, why would I fight for that? Like, I don't want to fight to be in a relationship with a
Right.
liar, you
Right.
know? But I did just end up sending a text message and I said, "Hey, how was your trip?" Just to see if there was anything.
Yep.
And the response I ended up getting back, should I read it?
You should, because I was shocked. Pissed me
Hold
off.
on.
Read it. Read it.
He said, "Hey, sorry for just getting back to you. It's been a hectic day getting caught up at work. We had an awesome time though. Couldn't have asked for better conditions."
The way he acted, like it was no big deal. You guys literally were supposed to have plans and see each other the day before and nothing. And then you reach out to him, how was your trip? And he acted like everything was great. Like how weird. How
Well,
weird is that?
and I'm looking back at this even too. Like again, the last text he sent me was, "I'm going to get to bed. I hope you have a good night. Sweet dreams. Kiss faces." Like it just
Ridiculous.
yeah. Okay. So, anyways, flash forward to he's acting like nothing's just nonchalant. I thought I would hear from you. Not sure what's going on. You told me I was going to be hearing from
Mhm.
you.
Mm.
He said, honestly, I was really enjoying myself. I haven't had a break or a proper vacation in quite a while. If you had wanted to talk, you could have picked up the phone and reached out. I don't feel like it's fair for all the responsibility to fall on me.
I can't. I can't breathe. I still literally have no words. Can we pause right here? And
Yeah.
ladies, please let me know if I'm crazy because when Brie read this to me, I was like, I would never bother a man like while not that it's bothering, but I would not reach out to my man if he's on a guy's trip. If he's on a couple's trip, whatever. I feel like it's his job to contact me because I if they're busy, if they're whatever, I don't want to like mess up the vibe and I'm over here texting and calling. Like, feel free to call me when you have some downtime. Ladies, do you feel that way too? Or do you feel like she should have been texting him and calling him the entire time, bothering him when he clearly stated that he needed this vacation and this time to like decompress and like rest because work had been so stressful. Should she have been all up in his text messages or was it his responsibility? I'm genuinely curious because I would have never texted him, just like you, Brie.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna do that. 'Cause that's
No.
even why before he left, I was giving him that freedom. Because 1, like,
Yes.
I'm not a controlling girl in a relationship, I'm just not.
No.
If you are even interested in somebody else, good, go for her.
Like that's it's not you to just sit here and try to control or
Yeah,
not
like,
manipulate,
I'm
but
not gonna be controlling, I'm
no.
not either you wanna be with me, and I
Mhm.
respect you, and I give you that trust where if you need a week away with your friends to go have fun, go have your fun.
Yes.
Obviously, I would love to hear from you. If you're gonna call me,
Yes.
text me, I love it, and I'll be responsive,
Of
and I'll be so
course.
excited, and I can't wait to hear about it, see your pictures, all that kinda stuff, but I'm not gonna be micromanaging you, calling you,
Yes.
bothering you, texting you all the time. Like, I think that's so annoying. Like, if somebody was doing
So
that to me, I'd
annoyed.
be so annoyed. The thing that I want is I think from a like, a man, what you want is just that, like, "Hey, did you make it back to your room okay?"
Mhm. Yep.
That's the sweetest thing in the world. That's
Mhm.
and then obviously, whatever time I do have to talk to you, I would call or text or send
Yes,
pictures and just little things to let you know I miss you, but when I'm on a trip, I don't wanna be, like, bombarded or feel like, "Oh gosh,
exactly.
I'm in the middle of doing this, and it's like it's my one time that I'm here to do this, and now I feel like I have to answer the phone." Right? Like, I'm not gonna do
Exactly.
that to somebody else, but, of
No.
course, like we said, in the morning or at night when you have a
Yeah.
little downtime, that's when it's
Yes.
nice to just get a little check-in, "I was thinking of you. Here's a
Yeah.
picture from today." Like, I don't
That's
know.
exactly it. I even with
Anyways,
my husband, Bree, like when he goes, not that he like does like guys trips, but you know, they will travel all over the US to see their favorite sports teams in the playoffs and do certain things. And I do not call that man. I do not call him. I do not text him. I could, it would not bother him at all, but I wait for him to call me because I'm not going to invade like his bro time when he doesn't get that very often.
yeah,
And so I even was telling you that you're like, well, should I text him? I'm like, no. You're like, good, because I wouldn't anyways. I was just wondering if I should. And I'm like, no. But you and I think a lot in that, alike in
I
that way.
I know.
Um, and no, so maybe I gave you the wrong advice. Ladies, let us know. Should Bree have reached out? Should she have been texting and calling when he said, I will be talking to you? I took that as he will be calling you. He will be texting you.
I mean, yeah, that's what I took all of that as too. Like, I'm not gonna if somebody tells me something, I'm not gonna think they're lying.
He told you how his trip was.
Yeah,
And
also
then
so
what?
the last thing that was said, I was planning on calling you, but I may as well tell you now as I don't wanna waste your time or lead you on. So again, those last final words, your face is so mad.
I'm still pissed off. Not even because I, like, needed you to be with him, it's literally not it, like, there's a ton of men and you're a catch, it's totally fine, we're over him, but it just makes me mad how he flipped it on you, never contacted you when you guys were supposed to hang out, didn't contact you the entire trip, and then he's like, "I felt like you should have reached out on the trip." Like, what? Who does that? That just seems needy and clingy and I may be wrong. It has happened before. There's been a few times I've been wrong in life, and this may be one of them.
Well, and that's
I
why I
just
wanna
felt
know, does some am I reading this situation wrong? Because that's where I was literally giving him his space,
yes.
and he was the one who made me sound like I was crazy for giving him that space,
Yes.
but then doesn't communicate at all, and then comes back, and when I'm just like, "Are you alive? Like, are you okay?"
But even before that, that's the part that made me mad because it was like he had expressed to you that like he doesn't casually date. He only dates like somebody that he sees himself being with. And so
Yeah, he
then,
did oh, sorry, I don't think I told that part of the story, Ashley. There was a conversation that we'd had after a couple dates where I'm, like, paraphrasing this, but he basically said, like, "I only wanna put my energy into, like, what I see as going somewhere. I
yep,
only wanna date one person at a
yep.
time, and I'm having so much fun with you and getting to know you." So, I think that's what you're referring to, that
Hmm. Yeah.
conversation that we had. And I
Yeah.
said the same. I was like, "Yeah, I really am, like, enjoying getting to know you. It's been really, really fun."
And then you guys spent so
Um,
much time together after that, and each
yeah.
time was amazing, and you got to know each other more and more. And then right before the trip, he was acting like he was too busy to see you. But then when you expressed that you wanted to see him because it was going to basically be a month until you could see him again between your travels and his travels, he made it a point to go and see you because he heard you and he didn't want you to be upset. I mean, not that you were like upset, but just that you were like bummed out, right?
Yeah.
You were like, oh, that sucks. Like, we're not going to see each other for like quite a while now.
Yeah, and I mean, looking back on it, to be very honest with you, and maybe somebody else out there is in this situation, if I could rewind time and he was like, "I'm too busy," I should have been like, "Fine."
I mean, I did tell you this is where the ghosting for me would have came in, Brie, because if he would have told me that, I would have been like, okay, perfect. I'm not a priority. Bye. And I would
You're
have blocked him.
exactly that. It's I should have immediately in that been like, "Okay, I'm not his priority, so that's fine."
I mean, I don't know if that's what you should have done because I'm not like a therapist. I feel like a healthy individual feels like would say that what you did, communicating how you felt and then waiting to see how he reacted to that. I feel like that's definitely way more mature. You should remember
Mhm.
last time I was single was in my 20s. Like dating close to 40 and your maturity level in your 20s is just totally different. But for me, I just would have felt like I was bothering him. I never want to feel like that with somebody. And I just probably would have blocked him.
Well, that's just it. I think it's like if I had then and there been like, "Okay, like, fine, we're not gonna hang out tonight."
Mhm.
The ball's back in his court for
Yeah.
then either he's gonna try to set up plans for when he gets back or not. But again, if you knew at that point, I guess this is like what my whole feeling is around ghosting is. If you know at a certain point that you're like, "I don't wanna continue this anymore." And it is somebody that you've seen multiple times. I mean, and in between all these dates that I'm talking about, we would be texting or we would call
Yep.
each other on the phone. There was communication happening very regularly. If you get to a point where you're like, "Okay, the more I've learned, I know that this isn't for me," that is okay. Just state that, and I feel like that's what bothered me in all of this was he finally said it. Like, he finally said, like, "It's been great getting to know you, but at this point, I'm not sure this is headed anywhere." That's
Mhm.
fine, like, those feelings are valid. He's allowed to feel that way, I'm allowed to feel that way. It's just, why did you lie about it? Like, why before the trip did you make it sound like
Exactly.
I like you. I'm excited to see you. I can't wait to see you after the trip. I'm going to be talking to you on the trip. Why say all of that if you
Exactly.
don't see it going anywhere?
And would you have ever heard from him again if you wouldn't have texted him?
No, and that's my point. Like, that was where the ghosting happened.
You wouldn't
I would
have.
have never heard from him again had I not texted him.
And this was a grown ass man, like older than me. we're not talking about a 27-year-old here. We're not talking about like this is dating culture nowadays. I'm sorry to say, but I feel like this is why he's single. This is why he's single because this is what he does. Like he could have easily just been like, this isn't for me anymore. Like how you always give us an example to do right after a date, just nip it in the bud immediately, shut it down. And you
Yeah.
would have been like, okay, that sucks, but you would have moved on.
And I mean, that's the thing. I think no one's perfect. I think every situation is nuanced, but I will just say, like, as the whole point of this podcast is, it's like ghosting is the new breakup.
Hmm.
I think it's just not a very classy way to handle situations.
Yep.
And I think there's a very classy, kind way. You're still going to be hurting that person's feelings. Sure.
Yes.
Nobody likes rejection or feeling
No.
like they weren't good enough,
Mhm.
or it's still probably going to be confusing for them. Let them work through that though. Like we all have to do that, but at least like in the classiest, kindest way that you can end it with somebody so they're not sitting there wondering like did this man fall off a mountain and die or
We
did
thought
he
that.
just not
I
want
remember.
to be with me? I mean,
Yes.
after about half of the week I was like, I haven't seen like anything even get posted. Like what if God forbid something bad happens?
Hmm.
But obviously nothing bad happened. It's just you get ghosted in 2025. That's what dating is. The
Yep.
dating is. But I want to hear in the comments if anybody else has a ghosting story or if you feel like there's an appropriate, again, I named a couple instances that I think it's appropriate to cut off
Yep.
communication, but let me know if you also think, did I do the wrong thing? Like, should I have attempted more communication while this man was on his trip? Or what do we really think? I'm just curious. I want to hear people's thoughts and opinions. Ashley
You
obviously has
can't.
some very strong
What does he
ones.
expect you to throw the ball and catch it? I mean, my God, like you cannot do everything in a relationship. And I just feel like you dodged a bullet with that one because your future husband would not expect you to just carry the whole freaking relationship. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. But I'm
Okay.
so glad we had a chance to talk about this today.
Me
And
too.
there are so many crazy ghosting stories I have, so we'll share more in the future
Okay.
that from followers who wrote in and told me some wild stories. But I know you and I both have to go today. But I just
Yes.
thought that the few that we shared were important because yours I felt like was a full-blown relationship that ended abruptly, where this other girl, like you said, it was probably a first date or a second date. He gave her the ick and then she cut it off. That's totally
Yeah.
fair. But
Yeah.
yes, I've learned, you've taught me, Brie, it's never nice to ghost somebody. So hopefully, God willing, I will never be single again for the rest of my life. But if I am, I will make sure to have a conversation. So thank you for teaching me that.
Oh, well, thank you all for listening to today's episode. Please let us know your thoughts down in the comments wherever you're watching or listening, whether it's Spotify or Apple or over on YouTube. I just thank you so much for your support of the podcast. And we'll see you on next week's episode.
Bye.
Bye, love.